Supplemental payments have been processed through November 1st. So the family support staff have been busy, and I just want to give a shout out. I know that was a lot of work, and they were able to get that set up for low income over on the child care development side through December, and they were able to get those payments through before the break last week. They will process November payments this week and probably next week. So the first part of November will probably process out this week, and then the last part of November will be next week. And then, of course, we'll be caught up, and then we'll be processing the December payment from December 1st. That will be through the 15th. I think it's scheduled to end on the 12th or 13th, but we'll process from December 1st to the 15th for supplemental payments for low income voucher children. So those are my updates. I'm going to pitch it over to Ashlyn.
Thank you, Tanya. Good morning, guys. It's so good to see you all. We want to just reiterate what Tanya said in terms of we're trying our best to work with you guys. And so we've had several of the same questions lately from providers. And so we're going to see if we can explain and then maybe help out a little bit on today's call with answering those questions. So the first one I want to talk about is updates to the pandemic requirements. First of all, you guys remember and then tell your colleagues and licensing specialists, please make sure that you're also telling providers when you go to do monitor visits that the very best place to look for any updates at all related to the pandemic will be our website. That is how we are getting the communication out to the providers so that we don't have bounce back emails or we don't miss telephone calls inadvertently. So we're using the website as our primary resource for getting the most updated information to you guys the quickest as possible. So the pandemic requirements that are posted right now, there is a clarification. It's not a change, you guys. So I want to make sure that I say that it's not a change. It's just an update to the way the group size requirement was written so that hopefully it can provide a little bit more clarity to providers on the group size. And that's been something that we've talked a lot about since the very beginning of the pandemic, just to make sure that providers are understanding and doing the group size correctly. And the majority of you guys are. But I want to reiterate, if you ever come across a situation in your facility where you're just not sure about the group size, please get in touch with your licensing specialists and talk with them about what you're facing, what that looks like, to see what we can do to help support it. So the pandemic requirements now talks to you guys about classroom size and classroom ratios. And so I just wanted to read to you what it does say. Again, it's not a change, it's just worded a little bit different to hopefully provide clarity. It says classroom ratios remain the same as what is outlined in the minimum licensing requirements. However, the group sizes for activities and instruction within classrooms shall be limited to 10 people, including staff and children. If the ratio allows for more than 10 children in a class, then the children should be separated into groups within classrooms. So again, the group size is still 10, but hopefully that provides a little more clarity in your ratios are still your ratios. It's just a matter of making sure to the very best of your ability that the children are in smaller groups within that classroom. And of course, you guys, that's just to keep the children as safe as possible and to reduce the risk of a potential spread of COVID to a minimum. It's not a guarantee, of course, as you guys know, and as we see as the numbers are increasing. But I have to tell you that the conversations between licensing and providers when there has been a COVID positive case in a facility go much better when the group sizes are smaller, because that means potentially less classrooms that you will have to close down. It means less children that have been exposed, less staff that have been exposed. So that's the reasoning again behind the health department giving us this requirement, is just to do the very best that we can do to limit the spread. Now then, there is another update coming that is going to be new to the pandemic requirements, but we just haven't got that finalized yet in writing and posted to the website, and it came from the providers. And it is one that we appreciate you all letting us know about, because as you know, we can't think of everything that could potentially happen as the pandemic changes. But one thing that was brought to our attention is now we're in colder weather. And when we started the pandemic, it wasn't that cold. And so the requirement that says the screening needs to happen prior to coming into your home or to your facility, your center, it's getting a little more difficult with it being cold outside. And so we hear you. And this is what Tanya's talking about in terms of if you guys are thinking of something, then please let us know, because we do want to do our best to be reasonable and do this fine, tricky balance of trying to keep the children safe and then also making sure that we're being reasonable with providers. So we are going to change up the screening process a little bit. It does not mean that you have to do what I'm about to say, but it will allow you to change if you need to or if you want to. And this will depend, you guys, on your particular setup, because some of you do have a lobby top area where you can bring the children in, you do your screening, and then they move back to the classrooms. However, there are some of you that do not have that, and so you've been doing screening outside. What we're going to add into the pandemic requirements, so check out the website, give us a day to get that up there, but what we're going to add is you will see a new line now that allows parents to check themselves, like they can check the temperatures of the children themselves prior to coming to your home or to your facility, prior to drop off. And you can allow those children to come on in, but within a 30-minute time period, so that their little bodies can get out of the cold weather and into your center without skewing their temperature. So that's why up to 30 minutes, somewhere in that time frame, we do need you guys to take their temperature to confirm that there is no fever. So I want to say it one more time. You can do this if you want to, and if this will be beneficial. This is not a requirement that this process has to be done. The only requirement is that you have the temperature of the child, okay? So the process can be a little bit different, and it can be this. The parents can take the temperature of their own children prior to drop off and coming into the facility. Providers will need to within 30 minutes of the child arriving, to confirm that there is no temperature. So you guys will need to take it, but that will give you a little bit of leeway, and hopefully will take an account for temperatures are somewhat skewed right now. It happens to us when we come in the DHS building as well, because the cold air is hitting the thermometers before the person's temperature can be taken. So it's skewing the temperature a little bit. So hopefully that will help providers. Okay. So those are going to be the updates that you will see. The clarification to the wording of the group size is already posted to the website, and then you will see the temperature coming soon. So always check the website for updates. Always ask your licensing specialist if you're stuck on something, because we do want to come from this stance of helping and not being restrictive and making your job tougher or more difficult to do. In line with that, I do want to talk to you guys a minute about technical assistance, because on our last week's call, we had some questions about technical assistance, and then there was some confusion if we were talking about TA stopping from our contractors, where we will ask like A-State or the U of A or our co-op or whomever we have to come and do TA. So that has changed somewhat so that it's virtual, but then we learned what the real question was, is the licensing no longer doing TA? So that is just not true. We still do TA. So if you need technical assistance, TA, for you guys that might be newer on the call, if you need technical assistance, please ask your licensing specialist about it. And your licensing specialist can help you get whatever support that you need. So if it is intent training, or if it's one-on-one explanation of a regulation we have, or if you need TA for group sizes or TA for your screening, any of those things we still do. We very much are doing technical assistance. Now, if you're talking about you want something, let's say that a licensing specialist comes out to your home or your facility and they have cited something that is deficient, meaning that there is a regulation that is not being followed, and you ask for TA, you want that to be written up as a technical assistance or noted as a technical assistant as opposed to a deficiency, we need to think that one through, because we are required to provide accurate information about what is happening in our facilities, so that parents can make great decisions and be aware and know about what is happening, especially in the terms of health and safety to the children while they're in care. Also, there's federal rules and regulations that we have to do for reporting. So we are accountable to other entities on how we go about monitoring. With that said, I do understand that there are some times where a licensing specialist could look at a situation and they might write something down and note it as a TA as opposed to a deficiency. And I want to give some examples of that so make sure we're all on the same page. So it's one thing if a facility is a high performing facility, they have rarely been cited, maybe they haven't been cited at all because they are maintaining compliance with the minimum licensing requirements. And let's say that they have a new staff member in a classroom, and they forgot to do something like washing hands, let's say, as part of a diaper changing process. A licensing specialist can look at that situation and think through and say, okay, this is a new person. On whole, this facility has never had struggles or has not been written up for that as a deficiency. We know that the director and the owner are solid on the minimum licensing requirements. They know and understand the importance of hand washing. I'm going to note that this is a new employee, and this employee needs some extra support on hand washing. That's a TA. Okay, so that would be an example where you have a very high performing facility, low amount of deficiencies because they're spot on with following the regulations. As opposed to, you guys, if we are working with an owner director at a home or a facility where there has been consistent or several areas where we have trying to support and gain compliance at a particular place with a particular facility on a particular regulation. So as an example, let's say that we've been in a facility and we have cited that the ratio in the infant toddler room has been out of compliance for the last 3 visits that were there. I would not anticipate in that situation that a director would ask or a licensing specialist would note that as a TA, because that is something that we have had several conversations about. That is something that must be in compliance because the potential risk to children with a ratio being out of compliance is high. And so hopefully that will kind of give you a little bit of clarification or understanding where we're coming from as licensing specialists on, do we do TA, technical assistance? Absolutely. We want to always do that. Even when we're writing down something as a deficiency, hopefully our licensing specialists are talking to you all as providers about what needs to change or how it can change or ideas on how it can change in order to come into compliance. So doing technical assistance, absolutely. Being able to note everything or most things as a technical assistant, probably not. So the name of the game here is we want to make sure that we're working together, especially now, you guys. The thing is, we are, as licensing specialists and the licensing team, me, Tanya, parents, the community's relying heavily on you to not only provide care, but provide excellent care and safety to the children. We're relying heavily on you. And you guys are relying heavily on us to make sure that we are doing our job and providing the resources and providing the support so that we can meet together, you guys, to give our absolute best to the children, especially now, especially now. So if you ever run into an area where you have talked to your licensing specialist and licensing specialists, I know there's many of you on the call today. If you've talked with providers and you guys are stuck and you're just not sure, or we can't come to a reasonable compromise, or we're just not sure what to do, please call your licensing supervisors. Licensing supervisors, please call me. Providers, you can call me and I'll be glad to talk it through. If I don't readily know the situation, then I might gather up more information from the specialist or the supervisor so I can get a clear, accurate picture of what's happening. But our bottom line goal is to work together and to be one big team. One big team. That is our goal. And that is our message that we want to send as a licensing team back out to you guys as providers. So you can always reach out to your specialist, supervisor, me, Kelly, Tanya, and we want to help you guys, because the bottom line is that we are moving deeper and deeper into the pandemic, and the pandemic is coming closer and closer to home for each one of us. The only way that we are going to manage this is to stick together. That is the only way that we're going to manage. And I'm here telling you, I'm here and I'm 100% invested in sticking together with you all. And I know our licensing team is as well. All right. So then one more update from me that I just want to make sure that everybody understands is a real thing, an actual thing, is that our QA team, our quality assurance team, they are tasked with doing audits of anyone, any program who receives $200,000 or more. Because the money that Tanya's talking to you about that we've distributed, we have to also send to our federal partners exactly how that money is being spent. So I know sometimes when you get a question or you get a request to send in attendance records because an audit is happening or your records are being looked at, first of all, know that that is a real thing, not a gimmick. And then secondly, just understand the why behind it. It is because we have to do an audit of that. We don't anticipate any problem, you guys, at all. But we do have to be accountable and be able to provide an answer back to the federal partners so that we can hopefully continue to get federal money to support what we're doing here in the state of Arkansas. All right, Tanya, I think that is the updates from the licensing side.
Thanks, Ashlyn. I appreciate that. Just a couple of additional updates that you all may be interested in. A reminder, I know many of you were interested in getting training on the new automated criminal background check process. So I know there may have been some confusion. I had a few colleagues reach out to me last evening, and there were things that maybe people posted that were incorrect, but we will be having a 12 o'clock call and training tomorrow for any of you who are interested in learning more or getting training on the criminal background check process that has been implemented. So just know that 12 o'clock noon tomorrow for those of you who are interested in criminal background check processes. I want to give a little update on rates for child care vouchers for those of you who do child care assistance for regular low-income children. We have adjusted level 3 rates, so as children get reauthorized, the rates will be reflective of the new rate. And Laura is working on level 2 right now. So we will be making adjustments to rates before the end of the year for all levels. Level 1, because that level is only going to be available through 2022 now, I believe the staff extended it federally in our state federal child care plan, and I believe we've gotten permission to do that. We will have level 1 only for a short period longer, so the adjustment there will be very minimal. the federal government expects us to move those quality levels up. And so I want to share with you that we are having a call Friday with A-State, who is our partner that does a lot of work for Better Beginnings. And I know that we put some things into place to help you all during this process. But I just want to mention that I was on a national call a couple of weeks ago with one of my A-State colleagues, and there are many states doing virtual visits. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just letting you know we are going to be looking at everything because I saw and heard how many states are doing things differently. We've implemented the Learn ERS or Learners, and we will continue. We think that's a great way to help and support you all during this time to learn about the environmental rating scales. But I just want you to know that, you know, as things change and as we begin, we want to keep supporting you to get to those higher levels because the funding is going to be at those higher levels. So, and thanks, Lindsay. I see Lindsay's doing the Learners, Learn ERS. So I'm really excited for those of you who are doing it. And what I'd like to do is for those of you who are doing it, maybe in January or February, when we get back to the beginning of a new year, and hopefully a much better year than the past one has been, I guess, maybe a couple of you would be willing to talk about your experience with that. I think it'd be great to hear from providers. It's great for us to talk about why we think it's beneficial and to hear from A-State, but it'd be great to hear from those of you like Lindsay, who is doing it, to talk about how it's helped them. So would love to work with you all and maybe giving a call out to some of you to do that. I see a couple of questions about, but I wanted you to be aware that we are going to be visiting about how we can better support you in Better Beginnings. So I see people are posting about learners in there besides Lindsay. So Cassidy Harrison, if somebody can from A-State can post back about that connection, please do so from A-State side if you're on. I see a couple of emails about background checks. Randy, that's a great question about recorded. So Ashlyn will note that and record that training and post it to the website. I think that was our plan all along so that people could access it because we think that's a more efficient way also. So thank you for reminding us, but it will be recorded and posted to our website for those of you who can't get on the call tomorrow at noon. And then I saw a note about making appointments to do fingerprints. Yes, you have to make appointments, and that will be part of the training, what that process is. That is because of COVID, but also the fingerprint machines. If everybody just shows up, then you could be sitting there for an hour or two if everybody went at lunchtime, for example. So the way the tool that we've used allows the local DHS offices to set up the appointments. So just wanted to clarify. And then thank you, Donna, for reaching out to Cassidy. I appreciate that. Anything else, gang? Okay, question about background checks for employees who are moving. I believe we have a call and are working on that here in the division, Jennifer McGill. So we will have an update on that. I mean, our goal is to be efficient around that, but we're also working with the legal. We want to make sure that we're all doing it correctly and legally, but we will provide an update on that. And thank you for asking that question. Yes, and the training will be posted, Lisa, on the website for the criminal background check training that's occurring tomorrow at noon. So question about criminal background checks, Ashlyn. So yes, when you go into your account, when you go into your account, you will get a notice when everything is cleared. You'll get a notice when there's an update. So if the state criminal clears, you'll get an update. But when everything is final, you will get a disposition that there's a change, and it will show that. I can't remember the wording, so Ashley, I'm going to let you, but please know that's why we're doing the training tomorrow, to help you all with these questions. So if you still have questions, take a moment if you can. If you can't get on the call, again, it's recorded, so you can get your answers to these questions about criminal background checks either on the call tomorrow or after the call. It'll be posted to the website.
Yes. Okay. So to answer that question real quick, Lisa, it is in the same system. Remember, it was called INA, you guys. Now it's called NIC. So if you hear NIC, INA, just know that that is one system. There's not a different system. It's one system with a new name. And you will go in there to initiate your request. And through your NIC subscription account, you will get the answers back, like Tanya said. What you will see first is a provisional. It'll say provisional. How you find that out, you guys, is either by going in your NIC subscription account and you can look to see the statuses, but you also will receive an email that will say to you, you have a status update. It won't give you the information in that email because of confidentiality and what they can disclose in an email. So all the email will do is say to you guys, you've got a status update. So you will go into your NIC subscription account, you will pull it up and you'll see provisional. That means that one of the either the state criminal has come back or the FBI has come back. Generally, you guys, it's going to be the Arkansas state criminal because that's the one that comes back the fastest. But you will see a provisional. Remember, when you get a provisional, that means the employee can start work, but they have to be under supervision at that point. Then once the FBI is cleared and the central registry is cleared, so when all three checks are cleared, you then will get an email about there's been a status update. You'll go into your NIC subscription account and you will see approved. Overall approved is what you're looking for. And that will be your indication that that particular employee's background checks, all of them have come back and that they are good to go without supervision. Like Tanya said, all of that will be covered tomorrow. So I encourage you to attend if you can. We set it up during most people's lunch hour just to help out a little bit there. So spread that news with your colleagues as well. So maybe even just one person, if just one person could sign up from your facility or your home, then they can share that news with you. But it will be recorded and we will have it up on the web so that you can refer back to it. Also remember, there is a link. All of this is in written form out on the website. So you can go there now and look on the background check website, and that's linked off of our website, and it'll give you a step-by-step process in terms of how to set up an account, how to initiate the request. It'll talk to you about the scheduling tool, the locations for where the fingerprints can happen. It'll talk to you about provisional status, overall status. It's all in written form. So that is there available now in case you want to check that out. But if you're like me, hearing it and seeing it is a little easier to learn. So try to join us if you can tomorrow.
There's a question. Even FBI complete, the child complete, there's still an overall provisional, and it's been a month from Chastity Parker Morgan. Can you?
I can take that one. Okay, so probably what is going on there, it seems like Chastity, is that we're waiting on the central registry. So, or the maltreatment is complete. So it looks like potentially we're waiting on the state criminal check. So a month is kind of pushing the long end of our deadline. So I would say to you guys to go ahead and reach out to Brenda Burr or Nora Fawcett. If you're hitting up against like the 4-week timeline, I would say go ahead and check in on that one just to see what the status is. And Nora and her team will be able to tell you that status update. Well, Paige beat me to you. Thank you, Paige. I was just about to put those email addresses in there. So if you will email them, then they will get back to you. They've been really good, I have to say, about getting to people quickly. So again, just extend some grace, but we will get to you.
And that process is just going to continue to improve, gang. If you have one that is going to be really a cleared, you're going to start getting those faster and faster as all of the parties who are involved in this, because it's working across multiple agencies, it will get improved over time, better and better. Now, if they're out of state, those do take a little bit longer. And thanks for putting the email addresses of employees page. Brandy, if you could put the email address for the deep cleaning For those of you that do have a positive case or need to close your facility or a classroom, because many sites are just doing a classroom, if you'll put that in the chat box, Brandy, that would be fantastic. And then the other thing to put in there is the INA invoice for reimbursement for the $150 subscription. We want to make sure we get that in. Sorry for that little 3-year-old noisemaker in the background. Again, learning to appreciate you all on the daily here in my house. We 2 people dealing with a 3-year-old. So thanks to all the early childhood teachers out there for what you do. And I know they're going to put that in the chat box. There's the INA receipts. That's for your subscription. And then the deep cleaning, I believe, is deep cleaning at dhs.arkansas.gov, but Randy will type that one in too. So I do want to mention, I see Kim, Wyrick, and Krista. I know there are probably others, but for those of you with school districts, if your school has fingerprint scanning capability at your school, we are working with state police. We may have already gotten it taken care of for some of you, but please know that so that we understand if you can keep your employees in your building, on your campus, and not have them having to go over to DHS. So I see some thumbs up there, but just let us know. For any of you who do have already purchased those for your K-12 systems, we are trying to work and integrate existing systems in, but it does take a little time with state police and getting our NIC and getting all that set up. The INA receipts, Ms. Jackson, is up. Brandy has posted that. Those are for those of you who have purchased the one-time subscription to do your background checks. There's an annual fee. We are paying for that this year only to help offset that cost, but you do have to submit your receipt, your invoice that shows that you've paid, or your receipt. Many of you have done that and sent those through. You've been able to get it right off of the INA system or NIC system now to show that you've paid that, and just scanned it to us, and we've been able to reimburse you, and we'll pay for that. If you're getting vouchers and other money, it may just show up on one of your payments. So please note, they don't always separate that out, but we are asking that you submit your invoice that you've paid the INA receipt, and then we will pay you. And thanks to Kita, yes, we were happy to be able to help offset that cost for you guys this year. I know that was a big burden, and we are working with NIC and state police as we go forward into the next year to have you all a different capability to purchase as you go, so that you don't have that one-time cost, unless that's how you want to handle it. If you've got a big district or a big program, the 150 may be the cheaper way, but you'll be able to see which way is best for your program, especially if you're in a smaller program. So, and we're happy to do that. Again, our goal has really been to support you all as much as we can, as legally as we can financially, and as well as with our staff. So I'm going to stop here today. Yes, Tammy Rowland, the reimbursement will be for 2020. So it really will go, through the time period that INA, NIC, state police get the new system in place that will allow the providers to purchase the background checks as they go and not have to do the one-time subscription fee. Once we have that in place, we will, we will stop doing the $150 reimbursement. But for any of you who have already paid it, please submit your invoices. We will take care of that as long as we can for those of you who, until we get the new system in place. I'm going to end the call here a little bit early today. We've got Dr. Tumlinson scheduled for our next call on the 15th of December. And that will be our last call for 2020. We will be working on calendar, and we'll tell you for January. I do want to say that based on the numbers today, and I appreciate those of you who can get on, and I appreciate those who can't. You all are representing a very small fraction of our provider community, and my guess is a lot of them are dealing with other stressors and issues and can't stop to get on, and so these are recorded. We may go to once a month, and let me explain a few things. We purchased the platform in Zoom for $1,000, and so I'm paying for that. I'm committed to paying for that. We're not going to stop that. But today we only have a little over 100 people on here. So I'm paying for something that's not getting really good use. It doesn't mean we can't use it for other purposes. Hopefully the tomorrow call at noon, and it may be the timing, and we may look at adjusting the time. So any of you who have feedback about this 10 o'clock call, I know many of you have been able to get on and been very consistent, but again, this time may not work for everybody. But we can certainly adjust that. We're committed to paying the Zoom fee because we think having the platform for 1,000 is really important. But if we're only getting 100, we may switch to once a month for the call to have as many people on as they can. And it may be that people are, maybe the holidays, it may be other stressors with COVID that's causing a little bit of decline in this, because we're getting up to 300 and 500 at one point. And so I'm seeing something. Thank you, Manica. I appreciate you putting in some comments. So yeah, it's no time is ideal. Trust me, the 3-year-old that I'm working with here is it's all about the schedule they have, and I understand that. So thank you, Jennifer, and several of you for saying that maybe the lunchtime would be better. So we'll look at that as we go into January 2021. We'll look at maybe a lunchtime type thing. I know no time is going to be perfect for everybody. Again, we're recording for those that can't get on, but just want to make sure that we're continuing to meet your needs and getting as many of you on here as we can to get the information to you. So thank you all. I hope you had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And I hope that the weeks ahead will continue to be safe for you, that you'll continue to practice all the absolutely wonderful things that you're doing to keep yourself, your staff, and your children safe. So please keep doing that. It's going to get harder and harder. As I said at the beginning, I'm actually in quarantine myself due to the grandchild being exposed in pre-K. Not angry with the pre-K program, not their fault. It just happens, and I knew that. So I'm not a mad, angry grandparent, nor is my daughter, the mother of that sweet boy, angry. It is just the nature of the world that we're in. We're praying that he doesn't get it. We're praying that we don't get it. My husband has departed from my home temporarily because he cares for very aging parents of his own. And I did not want him to get isolated from them, as they need his support and to be able to take things. So I know all of you are dealing probably personally. And if you're not, you likely will be, as many of my employees have continued to deal with it personally. So try to keep yourself safe. I know it's hard. I have a big family. We had to do things very different during the holidays, and it was very reduced. But we have to keep each other safe, and we all knew that. So keep wearing those masks, keep hand washing, and just keep doing the great job that you're doing. And know that no matter what it feels like from here, we care deeply about you all and what you do, and we know how important it is. So be safe, and we'll see you on the 15th call. Take care.
Bye, guys.